Zeke Elliott. Would you choose him in the first round? A raw rookie. I know he may not be. He didn't look so raw last night, and he
didn't.
He punked. Is that a tough thing to say? You punked Cam Chancellor, but at least that he lowered his shoulder, and he did something that few running backs do with Cam Chancellor. How high are you on Ezekiel Elliott?
Here's the weird part. I'm crazy high on Ezekiel Elliott, and I'm not high enough. So he's my number 6 running back overall. I'm sorry, he's number 5 for me, number 5.
Really?
And
have you ever done that for a rookie?
No, I mean, like, Todd, no, actually, because Todd Gurley was hurt coming into last year. No, and we looked at this, by the way, over the last 10 years, there have only been 3, count them, 3 running backs that were drafted in the first round of the NFL draft that ended up returning top 10 fantasy values of running back. Adrian Peterson, Doug Martin, and Todd Gurley last year. So it's only happened 3 times in the last decade. So there's a lot of fantasy running backs out there that just haven't been able to perform in their first season at an elite level to be worth a first-round pick. The weird part is, he's my number 6. He's actually my number 5 running back now when my rankings update come out later today. My number 5 running back, and yet he's going as the number 3 running back on ESPN.com. Mm-hmm. I have him towards the end of the first round. He's going in the middle of the first round. I think the hype on him and the expectations are so huge because of the talent, because he's a true 3-down back. He's not coming off the field. He's going to pass block as well. You saw it on display last night, the vision, the burst, the toughness. I mean, after that sort of cheap shot on Cam Chancellor, the late hit, if you will, that he got flagged for, Ezekiel went right at Cam Chancellor, like saying, I'm not a rookie. Oh, no, I'm not taking that. Mm-hmm. I mean, that offensive line for the last 3 years, Rich, is the only offensive line in football to have a running back have at least 1,000 yards rushing and 300 yards receiving. They've done it every year that Travis Frederick has been in the league. They're the only team in the NFL to do that consecutive seasons. They've done it for 3 straight. So that offensive scheme, his skill set, that offensive line, expectations are very high, and I think they'll be met.
So you have Lamar Miller ranked above David Johnson on your board. Why do that? I mean, we've seen more from David Johnson just last year than what we saw from Lamar Miller in Miami, Matthew.
Well, it's a couple things, and I know that's slightly controversial. And understand, I think David Johnson is a phenomenal player who's going to have a really, really big year. But for me, we looked at this, and over the last 2 years, did you know Le'Veon Bell and Lamar Miller have had basically the same number of carries? Le'Veon Bell has more catches, but they basically both had about 400 carries, a little over 400 carries.
Right.
Lamar Miller has more rushing yards, more rushing touchdowns than Le'Veon Bell. He was the 9th best running back in fantasy last year, ESPN standard scoring, and averaged 12 carries a game for Miami. I mean, in the fantasy world, we've been screaming it forever, free Lamar Miller. Now he goes to Bill O'Brien and the Houston Texans. Over the last 2 years, only the Seahawks have run the ball more than the Houston Texans. Arian Foster under Bill O'Brien averaged 23 touches a game. So now you're basically saying that Lamar Miller is going to double his workload? I mean, this is a guy who, when he's gotten the ball, has been unbelievably effective. I believe whatever you think of Brock Osweiler, I believe he is an upgrade over what Houston had last year. DeAndre Hopkins, again, and adding guys like Will Fuller, Broxton Miller, Jalen Strong's had a strong camp. They're going to be able to stretch the field and open it up for Lamar Miller, who's going to be a workhorse for him. That's one of the reasons he went from Miami to Houston. We actually had Lamar Miller on our podcast. We talked about that, and he just he's like, it wasn't about the money. Like, it was the opportunity. He wants to be a workhorse back. That's how they're going to use him. And so I think the what we've seen out of Houston Texan running backs under Bill O'Brien and the amount of workload they're going to get, plus his talent. David Johnson's only had 4 games where he's had double-digit carries, right? I mean, it's a super small sample size. Again, I think he's super talented. But you think about the playoffs last year, Green Bay shut him down. Into last season, Seattle shut him down. Carolina shut him down. I mean, he did not finish the year strong. He had the huge game against Philadelphia that everyone saw, against a team that had sort of, given up. And again, you're making me talk down David Johnson, who's my number 4 running back.
No, but I mean,
but at the high level, you have to nitpick, and that's why there's more of a sample size for me on Lamar Miller than there is on David Johnson. They've got Chris Johnson and Andre Ellington there, so there's workload concerns on David Johnson. Again, you're nitpicking at a very high level.
Well,
but,
I mean, when you're in the first round, you need to nitpick it.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on Audience.